yeah, I'm 10, 12 years in, I got 4 MVPs and 4 championships, like, but do I still want to do this shit? You know what I'm saying?
Cause you know how hard it is.
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
Right?
Yeah. And then I want to come back. Or some people say, I'm going to go 22 straight. Coward.
We come to practice, he's on one leg. Like he was hurt the second year, he was on one leg the whole year and played 82 games. Like, and so he practiced every day and he played every game on one leg. And so he's like, man, MJ, why don't you just sit up? How can I be the leader of the team and sit out and y'all going through all the credit? I gotta be there.
I twist my ankle, and I had a teammate, David Greenwood. He says, you know, you twist your ankle, young fella, come over and sit with me. You know, this is, you need to. I said, no, man, I'm trying to make a name for myself. There's no way I can sit. You know, I need to get out there and show what I'm capable of. I want to play, I want to win. I want to make an impact.
On the surface, Mind the Game looks like two legends sitting back sipping wine and breaking down basketball like a couple of old heads who've seen everything. They sell it as pure hoops talk, no politics, no ego, no media filter. But once you listen closely, you start realizing something else is happening under the table. This isn't just a podcast, it's a stage, a carefully crafted platform where KD and LeBron get to reshape history while everyone assumes they're just chatting. Modern players have figured out a shortcut. If you can't win the legacy debate on the court, you win it with a microphone. And the podcast era gives them the perfect cover. Say something casual, laugh a little sprinkle in a not to disrespect anyone, and suddenly you've nudged the entire conversation about greatness in a new direction. No backlash, no accountability, just real talk, right? But the real giveaway is how often Michael Jordan becomes the invisible guest in their discussions. They never mention him outright, but the shadows of their comments land directly on his legacy. When they downplay ring culture, dismiss older offensive systems, or joke about players stepping away from the game, they're not talking about random retired guys. They're chipping away at the foundation that Jordan built. And that's the clever part. It never sounds like a direct attack. It sounds like philosophy. It sounds like perspective. It sounds like two guys reflecting on their careers. But beneath that relaxed tone is a motive repositioning today's era as tougher, deeper, more evolved an era where longevity trumps dominance and where the GOAT conversation conveniently shifts away from the man who defined it. Because this isn't just a conversation, it's a subtle tug of war for narrative control. And KD's next comment would expose exactly how far they're willing to push it. When KD dropped the line, "Some people go play baseball," he said it with a grin, casual, light, almost playful. The kind of comment you'd miss if you weren't paying attention. But everyone who knows the history heard the undertone instantly. That wasn't a joke. That was a jab. A clean, subtle shot at the one moment in Jordan's career that critics love twisting out of context. And KD knew exactly what he was doing when he said it. Because Jordan didn't leave basketball because he was bored. He didn't step away because he wanted a vacation. His father had just been taken from him in the most devastating way imaginable. James Jordan was more than a parent. He was Michael's anchor, his guide, the voice behind every major decision of his life. Baseball wasn't an escape. It was a tribute to the dream they shared long before the NBA spotlight ever found him. KD knows that. LeBron knows that. Every serious basketball fan knows that. So when KD tossed that line out with a smirk, it didn't come off as insight, it came off as disrespect. And LeBron, laughing right next to him, that was the silent cosign. That laugh told the audience, yeah, we're saying what everyone else is afraid to say. The camera didn't miss it, neither did the fans. And that's where everything shifted. For decades, the unwritten rule in NBA culture was simple. You can critique the game, you can debate legacies, but you don't mock the tragedies that shaped a man's career. You don't turn trauma into comedy. You don't use someone's darkest moment as a punchline to boost your own narrative. But in today's superstar culture where platforms matter more than principles and legacy debates never end, that line gets crossed with a smile. And KD wasn't finished. KD tried to sound philosophical when he said the real goal of an NBA career is playing 20 years. He framed it like a badge of honor, a sign of endurance, a mark of professionalism. On the surface, that sounds reasonable until you actually look at the history of greatness. Because greatness has never been measured in years served. It's measured in impact. It's measured in moments. It's measured in what you did with the time you had, not how long you managed to stretch it. Jordan didn't play 20 seasons. He didn't need to. His peak, roughly 13 full years of basketball, outweighed the combined 40 seasons of KD and LeBron. Not because he lasted longer, but because he hit harder. His dominance was dense. Every year carried weight. Every season pushed the ceiling higher. That's efficiency. That's concentrated greatness. That's what scares modern players because it exposes the truth. Longevity is only impressive when you're consistently elite. So why do players today keep obsessing over playing year 18, year 20, year 22? Because longevity has become a shield, a convenient talking point that lets them shift the conversation away from championships where the comparisons to Jordan get uncomfortable. If the debate becomes about who stuck around the longest instead of who conquered the most, the pressure to win fades. The spotlight moves away from rings and lands on mileage. And that's the quiet attack baked into KD's statement. By redefining the goal, he subtly devalues Jordan's peak. He makes dominance seem less important than durability. He turns the conversation from how much did you win to how long did you last? It's an elegant way to tilt the legacy conversation in his favor without ever mentioning Jordan's name. But the next topic they brought up made their intentions even clearer. When LeBron shrugged and said he doesn't understand why ring culture matters so much, the irony was almost loud enough to echo. This is the same player who spent a decade openly chasing Jordan's 6 championships. The same player who delivered not 1, not 2, speeches. The same player who structured entire stages of his career around assembling teams capable of stacking titles. But now, after years of coming up short, suddenly rings aren't that important. Suddenly, the conversation needs to be bigger than championships. Convenient timing. There's a reason for that shift. The one number LeBron can never escape is 6 and 0. Jordan's perfect finals record is the mountain nobody's climbed. It's the detail that ends half of the GOAT debates before they even begin. So the easiest solution, make the mountain disappear. If rings stop mattering, then 6 and 0 stops mattering. If the conversation becomes about consistency, longevity, and overall contribution, suddenly the spotlight shines. Somewhere LeBron is more comfortable, somewhere he can compete. And KD? He loves this argument too. He's never catching Jordan in rings either, so dismantling the value of championships helps him just as much. Together, they turn the conversation away from peak dominance and toward survival. Toward showing up, toward lasting a long time. It's not an accident they're building a new metric where they look superior. This is how the narrative quietly gets rewritten. By downplaying titles, LeBron reshapes the GOAT debate into one he can actually win. By reframing dominance as situational, he removes the sting of past failures. And by presenting this shift as harmless discussion, he avoids sounding defensive. But once they discredit rings, they open the door to criticizing something even deeper, how previous eras valued the game itself. And that's where the divide becomes impossible to ignore. Nothing highlights the gap between eras more clearly than the conversation around availability. In the 2020s, load management has become a strategy, a business decision, almost a lifestyle. Stars sit out for maintenance. They rest on back-to-backs. Entire fan bases buy tickets only to find their favorite player watching from the bench in street clothes. The logic behind it is simple: preserve the body, extend the career, stretch those superstar years as long as possible. Jordan never thought like that. He didn't calculate how many more seasons he could squeeze out if he rested in February. He didn't pace himself for year 18 or 20. His mentality was brutally straightforward: maximize this year, this moment, this game. Every season was a mission, not a stepping stone. He played all 82 games multiple times, not because he had to, but because he believed it was part of being great. He believed fans who worked all week deserved to see him perform, not sit. That mindset play, whenever you can compete at all costs, is almost extinct now. Modern stars have different incentives. Contracts are bigger. Careers are planned like investments. Every decision is filtered through market value, long-term branding, and protecting the next deal. Sitting out isn't viewed as weakness, it's presented as smart business. And for many players, legacy isn't built on dominance, but on durability. If you last long enough, the numbers will come. But that's the exact point where the cultural divide cracks open. Jordan's era demanded sacrifice. This era demands preservation. One side chased greatness even if it shortened their careers. The other side chases longevity even if it slows the game down. And when KD and LeBron talk about surviving in the league, they reveal just how different their priorities are from the man they're quietly trying to surpass. The difference becomes even sharper when you look at leadership. The clearest difference between eras isn't found in stats or highlight reels. It's in who shows up when everything hurts, when the season is slipping, when the locker room needs a heartbeat. Jordan didn't just play through injuries. He treated pain like an opponent. Stories from former teammates paint the same picture every time. Swollen ankles pulled muscles, fevers, bruises, none of it mattered. If he could stand, he could play. And if he played hard. Not because it was heroic, but because he believed leadership meant meeting the moment, not stepping aside from it. That's a sharp contrast to today's stars who choose rest even when they're capable of suiting up. Modern players frame these decisions as protecting the body or thinking long-term. But the message the team receives is different if things get complicated. I'm not risking myself for this. It's hard to build a culture around that. Harder to follow it. Then there's the uncomfortable truth about KD and LeBron. When adversity hits real adversity, they've both walked away. KD left OKC after blowing a 3-1 lead. He left Golden State when the pressure shifted. He left Brooklyn when the expectations became too heavy. LeBron has exited franchises the same way. When Cleveland struggled, he headed to Miami. When the Heat declined, he bolted back to Cleveland. When that situation fractured, he went to LA. Their leadership style is directional. They lead by moving. Jordan led by staying. He didn't duck difficult seasons. He didn't jump ship when the roster looked shaky. He didn't need a podcast to explain what leadership meant. He showed it night after night, game after game, whether his body agreed or not. And that's the part KD's and LeBron's narratives can't outrun, no matter how many episodes they record. Because when you compare resumes, another truth emerges, one that exposes the legacy gap they keep trying to close. Here's where the entire conversation collapses on itself. When you strip away the jokes, the podcast philosophy, the clever wording, and the "we're just talking hoops" energy, the numbers expose everything KD and LeBron are trying to hide. Michael Jordan played roughly 13 full seasons of basketball. Not 20, not 22, 13. Yet in that condensed span, he built a resume that two all-time greats playing nearly 40 combined seasons still haven't matched. Look at the math. In less than half the time, Jordan walked away with 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, 10 scoring titles, and 9 all-defensive first-team selections. KD and LeBron together don't surpass that. Their combined ring count equals his. Their MVP totals barely edge him. Their defensive accolades come nowhere near him. And this is with triple the mileage, triple the off-seasons, triple the roster constructions, triple the chances. That's the uncomfortable truth KD and LeBron never say out loud. Longevity hasn't brought them closer to Jordan. It's just made the gap more obvious. Every extra season is another reminder that dominance isn't a time-based achievement. You don't catch Jordan by surviving, only by overwhelming, only by sustaining a peak so sharp, so relentless that the league bends around it. But neither KD nor LeBron have done that. Their peaks were elite, but not absolute. They've both had down years, disappointing finishes, team changes, chemistry issues, and seasons where the spotlight felt too heavy. Jordan didn't have to shift the narrative. His play forced the narrative. KD and LeBron can't overpower the legacy through performance, so they try to reshape the criteria, instead turning the debate from excellence to endurance. But longevity can't erase the truth. Greatness isn't stretched across decades, it's carved into them. And Jordan carved deeper than anyone in history. The irony, Jordan never needed to defend any of this, because his silence speaks louder than their podcast ever could. The most revealing part of this whole saga is what Jordan didn't do. He didn't hop on a podcast, he didn't fire back in an interview, he didn't jump onto social media to clap back at KD or LeBron. Instead, he did what he's always done, let the game speak for him. And even decades after retiring, the game is still speaking in his voice. NBC recently pulled Jordan back into the spotlight, not as a nostalgia piece, but as a living symbol of what basketball is supposed to represent. That decision says everything. When the league needs credibility, when it needs a cultural reset, when it needs a voice that still carries weight with fans of every generation, they don't call the current faces of the NBA. They call the man who hasn't played meaningful basketball since flip phones were still a thing. Influence like that isn't earned through podcast conversations. It's earned through standards, through expectations, through a legacy so enormous it never fades. And that's exactly why Jordan doesn't respond. He doesn't have to. Every comparison still ends with his name. Every debate eventually circles back to him. Every modern superstar, no matter how many seasons they play, still finds themselves measured against a man who played fewer years yet cast a longer shadow. His mindset outwork everyone, compete every night, never cheat. The game exposes the comfort-first approach of today's stars without him saying a single word. KD and LeBron can rewrite definitions, question ring, culture challenge old systems, and joke about baseball all they want. But the center of gravity in basketball never moves. The league still revolves around a ghost, a man who hasn't laced up in 20 years, yet remains the benchmark everyone is chasing. Jordan doesn't need to defend himself. The sport defends him every day.